What's up? And hello. It's Credias coming at you. The video on parallel lines being cut by a transversal. So, we are going to talk about how to apply some of the vocabulary terms that we have already learned, and we're also going to learn one more new one. Okay, so we're going to learn how do we use these to help us. So, we're going to talk about alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, corresponding angles, and same side interior angles. Same side interior angles, this is the new one. Okay, so let's start with that one. So for same side interior angles, they are consecutive angles. Let's write that in. They are consecutive angles, and they are always going to be on the same side of the transversal. Okay, so right here we have examples of same side interior angles. Okay. They're consecutive angles. You could also put that they are interior angles. But I feel like that was kind of a given. They're interior / consecutive because of the name. So they're within they're inside, they're in the interior of the parallel lines, and they're on the same side of the transversal. So these two angles that are next to each other right here. Okay. Same side interior angles are supplementary. So what that means is they will always add up to 180. Add to 180. So supplementary means that they add up to 180 degrees. Okay. Now, here's an example of how we can use this to solve a problem. So here I know that this angle right here is 60 degrees, and I don't know the measure of this angle, but I know it's 3x. And I might say, hey, solve for x. Or I might say, the question might either be solve for x, or the question might be, tell me what this measure of this angle is. Okay. But let's say the question is, let's solve for x. So here's what I know about these two angles. These are same side interior angles, which means that these two angles add up to 180. Okay, so if these two angles add up to 180, I know if I take this angle and I add it with this angle, it's going to equal 180 degrees. So that's my equation that I can solve. I take the first angle, I add it with the second angle, and it should equal 180. And now I can show my work, of course, but I can solve a quick equation. Oh, that should be 120. Sorry. Solve my quick equation to solve for x. And x equals 40. So if x equals 40, that's not necessarily the measure of the angle. That just means that x equals 40. So that's what I was asked to do. I'd be done. If it said what's the measure of the angle, well, 3 times 40 is 120, and then I'd be done after that. Okay, so we're just taking this and applying it, and we will have to probably solve some equations, but I'm using what I know. Because these are same side interior, that means that they are supplementary, so I add them up to make them equal to 180. Now let's look at corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles is not a new one. Okay, they have the same position relative to the parallel lines. So here's an example of corresponding angles. They're both above their parallel line on the right side of the transversal. Also, they're both in the top right. Okay. Corresponding angles are congruent, or they are equal to each other. They are the same. So another example of this would be if I know that this angle is 63 degrees, and I know this angle is 2x plus 1, well, that means this angle is also 63 degrees. So that means to find x, I know x has to be something that's going to make this equal to 63. So there's my equation right here. So I have to figure out, are these equal or are these supplementary? If they're equal to each other, let's set them equal to each other. And that's my equation to solve for x. So I have 2x plus 1 equals 63, and then now I can solve. Okay? Divided by 2, and I'll get x equals 31. Now again, I just want to remind you, this does not mean that the angle measurement is 31 degrees. The angle measurement is 63 degrees. But if I plug in 31 for x, that's going to get me to 63 degrees. Okay. So alternate interior angles. Okay, so here we have our pair of alternate interiors. They're on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay. And they are within the inside and between the parallel lines. Alternate interior angles are non-adjacent angles that lie between the lines on different sides of the transversal. And one thing we learned is that they are congruent. They are also the same. So because they are congruent, pause the video and solve for x in this particular example of alternate interior angles. Go ahead and solve for x, please. Okay, so since I know that these are congruent, I know that 3x equals 139 because this angle has to be equal to 139 degrees because this angle is 139 degrees and these are alternate interior. So that's my quick one-step equation. 3x equals 139, so I'm just dividing by 3 on both sides. Okay, and then let's see here, 139 divided by 3. Go through this real quick. Minus 18, I'll get 1, 0, and it looks like I'm going to have a decimal 0.3 repeating. So you should have gotten 46.3. Okay, let's go to the last one. I believe this is the last one, right? Yep, alternate exterior angles. So again, they're alternate because they're on different sides of the transversal, but they're on the outside of the parallel line. So they lie outside the lines on different sides of the transversal, and alternate exterior angles are always going to be congruent. Okay, so they will always be congruent. So alternate exterior, these would be congruent. So again, pause the video please and try out this problem, set it up, see how you do. Okay, hopefully you finish the problem. Here's your joke. Why are obtuse angles always so depressed? So why are obtuse angles always just so depressed? Because they're never right. Am I right? All right, here we go, moving forward. So I have my alternate exterior angles here, so I have to ask myself, are these supplementary, are these equal to each other? How do I set up my equation? Because these are equal to each other, I'm going to set up my equations just that way. I'm going to take the first angle and set it equal to the second angle. And now I can solve for x. So 2x equals 100, so that means x equals 50. And I'm done. Okay? So that's it. I hope this helped. And if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Good dias out.